I have with me Drs. Boria, Majumdar and Sharmistha Gooptu. Dr. Boria Majumdar is a cultural scholar, editor and writer with posts at universities in both the UK and Australia, and a one-time Rhodes Scholar. Dr. Sharmistha Gooptu is an expert analyst and writer on South Asian culture with a doctorate from the University of Chicago. They are two of the founding trustees of the South Asia Research Foundation, the owners of the massive archive of material from which the digital South Asia Archive is derived. The South Asia Archive is made up of many different document types, from journals and books to reports and pamphlets. Maybe if we run through the different types, you could give me some examples of the standout content included in the archive. So, in terms of journal content, what would you say are the 5 of the most exciting titles covered in the archive?
Well, we have a range of journals, English and Bengali journals, and we have some very niche publications which are very rare materials. For instance, we have Bengali journals from the early part of the 20th century, like for instance, we have a journal called Tilir Gaurav, which is a Bengali journal, and another called Mohajan Bondhu. The first is a caste group based journal, very niche publication. The second was a journal which was catered to, it carried writings on trade, industry, that kind of thing. Again, a very rare journal, very niche journal. And we have English journals like Indian Education, Islamic Review. We have the Tropical Agriculturist, which was an agricultural journal of Ceylon. So we really have a very wide range of journal publications.
What kind of book material is included in the archive?
Once again, we have a whole range of rare books, English and Bengali language publications. We have memoirs, by British civil servants. We have, for instance, people who were writing during the 1857 mutiny in India. We have travelogues. We have very rare books which were the first Bengali histories written in the earlier part of the 20th century. For instance, we have this book called Bombay Chitro, which was written by Satyendranath Tagore, who was the brother of Rabindranath Tagore. And this book was published in 1888, and it's very significant because the author was one of the first people to join the Indian civil service, a social activist who worked for women's rights. So a whole range of very interesting, rare books in the archive.
And the archive includes a lot of reports, so what kind of reports can people expect to find?
Again, a range of reports. We have, the colonial bureaucracy produced a lot of paperwork. So we have reports produced by government departments like fisheries or land revenue. Every government education reports, lots of education reports. We also have more specific special reports, like for instance the series of reports which were which were the result of an inquiry after the Calcutta disturbances of 1947, the disturbances which happened at the time of the riots around the time of partition. um, and we have a few Bengali reports. So, again, a whole range of very diverse reports.
That still leaves a lot of other material. So from the rest of the content of the archive, what else do you think users will find particularly exciting or helpful?
For instance, we have a whole range of gazettes and gazetteers which are going to be useful to people really working on any field of South Asian history, because they carry a plethora of information on really a range of things, So whatever your field of research is, you're going to find these very important. We have film ephemera, we have pamphlets and booklets which accompany the release of every film, and some from the 1930s and 40s especially are extremely rare because they might at this point exist in 1 or 2 or 3 copies, and we have sourced our materials from the original studios or production houses. So these are extremely rare materials which we are going to be putting online. And we have maps, we have maps, we have calendars, we have catalogs. So, like for instance, we have the Hindu calendar from, like the earlier part of the 20th century, just runs of the Hindu calendar, or we have directories from various universities. So, a whole range of very diverse materials.
So, based on that knowledge, your knowledge of the content of the archive, where does its value really lie as a research and teaching resource?
I think it actually will revolutionize South Asian studies because three things. One, uh, it will enhance teaching possibilities. You can use a lot of this material as course material. Two, it will it will be widely sort of available to researchers from around the world. Hitherto, this material was not available to students, for example. The librarians will have access to a wide variety of such material, so it will enhance library collections in South Asia, allow the opening up of South Asian studies in several universities. In this day and age of shrinking economic resource, it will open a whole new world of South Asia on your laptop or your desktop, which will tremendously enhance the visibility of South Asian studies and allow a new range of disciplines or sub-disciplines in South Asia opening up for several universities and students across the world.
What was the importance of the digitisation process to you personally and to the goals of the South Asian Research Foundation?
See, three things. One, I think a lot of this material would have been extinct in another couple of decades maybe if it was not digitized. So it to be made available to a global audience is the most important. Second, I think it's a preservation of Indian cultural patrimony and heritage. That is a fundamental objective of the South Asia Research Foundation, and we were extremely keen that we will preserve Indian cultural patrimony and in fact spread it to people in the global West and in other parts of the global South, in our own country, for example. And finally, to make available South Asia resource to students that students generally don't get access to. I mean, existing libraries which have South Asia materials are not often user friendly, do not often have material like as diverse and as varied as Sharmistha was pointing out. So overall, the whole digitization process is what is at the center of this project, making South Asia a completely different type of resource for academics and students and librarians around the world.
Can you explain the process which has been undertaken by the South Asian Research Foundation and by Taylor and Francis in the development of the functionality of the archive?
Yes, and I think Taylor and Francis and the South Asia Research Foundation in collaboration have done a very commendable job here. I mean, one, there is now full text, almost full text searchability. There is a lot of added work that has gone into making the digitized archive searchable, making it user friendly. A whole new platform has been built. A lot of digitization work, technical work has gone into supporting the archive, which will be extremely user friendly. So when the corpus of material eventually becomes available to students, librarians, researchers from around the world, it will make study of South Asia that much more easy. Because and I'm sure once this is made available, there will be a lot more demand for usage of this physical material also. So thanks to Taylor and Francis for undertaking this huge investment, which is no mean feat, and to sort of invest in making this whole knowledge resource available to a global audience in different parts of the world, not only in India but also in the South Asian diaspora.
What kind of feedback have you received from colleagues in the wider academic community when you told them about the development of the South Asia Archive platform?
Now this is an easy answer. I mean, it's been an overwhelming yes, and when is it coming? So that's the question. When is it coming? Can you make it available today? In fact, yesterday. Because South Asia is one region where digitized archival material, historical material isn't yet available. So people across the world will find it extremely relevant. And here I talk about four different constituencies: teachers, librarians, researchers, and students. Students, for example, in this country, in the UK, they find it very difficult at this age of economic downturn to travel and access South Asia material if they are doing South Asia research. For them, a whole new world will open up. Teachers will be able to introduce this in their course syllabi. Librarians will find it much more simple to enhance their South Asia corpus. Overall, it has been an overwhelming response to this archive, that when is it being made available to the global audience.
Well, thank you for that. I'm really looking forward to seeing the archive in action.
Same here.